Hello YouTube, Megumi Mary here. I'm a big fan of good storytelling. I'm an aspiring author and my passion is movies, books, and good TV shows. Just because I like a good story. And I think that is just something that I can really get behind. Good storytelling. So I have decided to dedicate a monthly vlog to storytelling, or rather different books, movies, TV shows that I really like that utilize good storytelling. These are my personal opinions, so please don't tell me I'm wrong in the comments. And if you have any thoughts on whatever subject matter I tackle each month, then feel free to let me know in the comments. Because as a fan of different shows, movies, and books, the one thing I love more is finding out how other people feel about stuff. So, I was thinking about what I should do my first monthly vlog on. And I thought, what better place to start than what I feel is, in my opinion at least, one of the best TV shows in recent history. I, of course, am talking about Avatar the Last Airbender. This is a series that was on Nickelodeon of all places. It's heavily inspired by the Miyazaki films. For those of you who don't know, Miyazaki is a celebrated Japanese filmmaker, and his movies always had an essence of man versus spirituality, or man trying to live with spiritual, spirits and stuff like that. He's a very good filmmaker, very well known. He's done movies like, his most famous of which is Spirited Away, My Neighbor Totoro. My personal favorite of his is Princess Mononoke and Castle in the Sky. So, the people who made this, Michael DiMartino and Brian Konietzko, were heavily inspired by the world of Miyazaki and all his different movies and what they symbolize. And you can definitely see some of that in their work. There is a great message of man and spirit. And the overall plot of this series, I'm sure many of you know, is over the past 100 years, in a world divided by 4 nations, the Fire Nation has taken over the other nations. And it's up to this one 12-year-old boy who has the power to control all 4 elements to set everything back to normal. And it's a good series. I'm not going to give away too much of the plot, but they really do a lot with this premise. They make their characters shine. They make the villains amazing. They make the main characters extremely likable. And there's just a lot of good stuff. The first season is definitely very slow-paced in the beginning, but once you hit episode 12, you won't let go. In fact, the Nostalgia Critic has said that episode 12 is the one where you really realize what kind of treat you're in for. And I think that's true. For me, the big selling point was episode 8. Without going into spoiler territory, when I first started watching this show, I always thought, oh, this is the kind of thing that they're going to drag on forever until it gets old. But episode 8 introduced pretty much a ticking clock to the whole formula. And it made me realize, okay, well, they clearly can't drag this on forever. It's got to end eventually. And they did end it really well. The series as a whole is amazing. First season's slow, but it captures you really well. And seasons 2 and 3 are non-stop fun, action, especially the finale. It's just everything I wanted to be and more. So, Avatar the Last Airbender is a great series that deals with a lot of political and social issues, especially where themes of war are concerned. I like how they managed to address the fact that just because you're at war with a nation doesn't mean the people of that nation are bad. Which is a lesson I think everyone could, look at. Especially given today's political issues. So next up is Legend of Korra. I'm going to talk about the entire Avatar universe, by the way. Legend of Korra is a series that takes place roughly 70 years after the events of the original show, and it deals with the next in the Avatar line. A lot of people felt that this show wasn't as good as the original, and in some regards they are right. In others, I feel this show did a better job. The first season was not well paced, especially with a love triangle dynamic that just really feels forced. And it just really made the first season suffer in my eyes. The second season, however, was better. A lot of people argue that the second season was a step backwards. I saw it as a step forward. Granted, there are moments in the second season that are bad, but I thought the origin story of the Avatar was really well done, and I felt that the ending of the second season was pretty good. A lot of people claim it was a Deus Ex, but it actually has a lot of symbolic imagery with Buddhist folktales and stuff, and I actually looked into that, and it's interesting. Seasons 3 and 4 are where the show, I feel, reaches the level of the original show and in some regards surpasses it. And there's just not a lot I can say without going into spoiler territory. So I'm going to put up a spoiler alert now. One of the things I always liked about the original show was the bending versus bending battles. You have fire versus fire, you have water versus water, you have earth versus earth, and fights like that always really made me excited. Because you have two characters who are equally matched, who pretty much can take whatever the other side threw at them. And for the longest time, I always thought, what about air versus air? And we finally got our answer in Season 3. The villain was an airbender, and they just really took off with the concept. I did a video of my top 5 WTF moments a while back, of another vlog, and a pretty good twist from Season 3 is on that list. And Season 4 was really well done. I know they had a lot of budget issues, and considering what the hand they were given, they really made it work. You really felt like it all came full circle. And I like it when a show does that, where they make it seem like everything that's happened comes full circle. And with a different villain every season, that was an incredibly hard thing to do. But they did it, So, Legend of Korra, the complete series, is definitely a good pick. And finally, the graphic novels. Avatar the Last Airbender left on a unfinished note, if you would. A lot of people were wondering what happened to Zuko's mom. Well, we got our answer. The first set of graphic novels pretty much sets everything into motion. Zuko's afraid he's becoming more like his father, and it's a really nice way of tackling where the series left off. And they do a lot with it. As far as reading the graphic novel is concerned, it still feels like I'm watching the show. The writers did a really good job of portraying the characters as organically as possible. It doesn't even feel like you're reading it. When I read it, I swear I could hear their voices in my head as if they're actually reading off their lines. And it just works really well. The second graphic novel series, The Search, is easily the best out of all of them. And this is the long-awaited search for Zuko's mom. They do everything perfect with this. It is the perfect story of what happened to his mom. I'm not going to spoil it, but if it came down between this story in a graphic novel format or them tacking on this story in the end of the series, I would rather read it as a graphic novel because it's a story that really deserves to be explored. There was a lot of great ideas, there was a lot of great twists, there was a lot of great character moments, and The Search is easily the best of the graphic novels. So, if nothing else, read The Search. They sell a nice big, like, $40, all 3 parts combined in one edition. And they've been doing that for all of them. Another issue I had with the end of the series was we never got closure with Toph and her family. And I know that wasn't a big thing, but it was something I always wondered about. Well, The Rift. It is a really solid way of addressing that side plot, and it works. You know, you really get a feel of what Toph is going through when she comes face to face with her father for the first time. And there's a great side plot about Aang that kind of wraps up the first 3 sets of graphic novels. Where because of decisions he made in The Promise, he's having problems connecting to his past lives. And he has to, for lack of a better term, mend that rift. So, they do a lot of good with it, and the story is really solid. And I recommend it, especially if you're a fan of Toph. This is a great Toph story. And finally, they don't have a big library edition of this one out. All 3 parts of Smoke and Shadow. This is a great Zuko story. It's about him and his mom after the events of The Search, so I'm going into spoiler territory with basic plot points. And so if you haven't read any of the graphic novels before this one, skip past this or just stop watching. And it's basically Zuko trying to have his mom welcome back into the Fire Nation while there's a plot to overthrow him. And so it does a lot of great stuff. You know, I probably shouldn't have said that. I'll censor that in the actual part. It does a lot of great stuff. The twists are good, and the character moments are great. And there's a moment at the end of all 3 parts that is just perfect. It deals with Fire Lord Ozai, and it is easily one of the best moments they did with Ozai in the graphic novel series to date. Those of you who have read Smoke and Shadow know what I'm talking about. So, Avatar the Last Airbender, the entire universe is pretty much my recommendation here. Watch the original series, watch the sequel series Legend of Korra, and read the graphic novels. It is all gold. And it's a must. This is my pick for the month of July. And that's really all I have to say. Oh, and if you are going to get invested in the Avatar The Last Airbender universe, don't watch the Shyamalan movie. I will never forgive you. Okay, I'll forgive you because I kind of watched it out of curiosity, but it is a travesty. It is just an abomination. So, thanks for watching. I'll see you next month with my pick of that month.